Hello everyone, welcome back to Virtual Sunday School. So today I'm on the road again and we are going to talk about finding the church in the Bible. So we are going to kind of talk about all the stories that we've talked about recently and just do a little bit of a review. But I am here with my friend Kate today.
Hi, my name's Kate and I'm in the 3rd grade. My hobbies are that I like reading and playing and enjoying nature.
All right, Kate, I'm so excited that you are here to help me tell the story, but I'm trying to think about how we can do it, okay? So we're going to talk about the ways that we can see the church in the Bible, and we're going to kind of talk about what we've recently been learning, and I'm trying to think the best way to do that. I got it. So what if we take the Bible and we put it in a blender and we add some water and we put a little, maybe some sugar so it tastes good, and we blend it up and then we drink it? Do you think that will work?
No, it would taste horrible.
It would taste horrible. Yeah, I don't know if I really want to eat a book. You know, okay, I got a better idea. So what if we took the Bible and we opened it up, right? And I put on my tennis shoes, like my fastest shoes, and I ran like really fast over it or beside it. Do you think that would work too? Like, could I get everything I needed to?
No.
No, you're right. So what do you think we should do then? How do you think we should tell the story?
I think we should tell the story by opening up the Bible and reading it, and then we could tell the story.
You're so smart, Kate. Why didn't I read the Bible? And then we can use this stuff to tell the story from the Bible.
Yeah.
I got it. That sounds like a great idea. Let's take a journey through the Bible and see what we discover. Before even the beginning, there was God. Darkness was everywhere until God gave us the 7 gifts of creation, including the gift of creatures that walk on the earth. There was man, woman, and God, a creation community. For thousands of years, the creatures filled the earth with life. Then there came a time when God called a man named Abraham and a woman named Sarah to go to a new land God would give them. And God said, "I will bless you and make you a great family with as many descendants as there are stars in the sky." Abraham was so shocked he couldn't believe it. He just fell over so many times. And then God said, "There will be also so many grains of sand in the desert." The great family grew in number as God had promised. Look at that sweet little baby. Eventually, there was a famine in the land, and the family had to go to Egypt to find food. But there they were enslaved by the Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. Womp womp. They were trapped and could not go home, but God called a man named Moses. So where's Moses? There he is. So Moses came and led the people out of slavery and through the waters to freedom. So there he is, walking through the parted sea. After the people were free, they did not know what to do. So God helped Moses bring the people to the holy mountain of Sinai. There, God gave Moses the best ways to live and formed with them a sacred agreement called a covenant. We talked about this recently. God promised to be their God, and the people promised to be God's people by living the 10 best ways. So that is where the Ark of the Covenant came from that we've been talking about. For 40 years, God led the new community through the wilderness with the Ark of the Covenant, which contained the 10 best ways to live. So they traveled from one place to the next and to the next, and finally they entered the land God had promised. So here is a map of Israel. They had finally made it to the promised land. Under their leaders, which were called judges, the people settled as 12 tribes, or 12 families in that land. After many more years, the tribes became a nation with kings. Through King David and his descendants, God promised to establish the nation as his kingdom forever. King David's son Solomon, who later became King Solomon, built in Jerusalem a great house for God. Kate, can you show us that beautiful miniature version of that great house? Yeah. So that's a small version, but it is called the temple. The temple is what was created where people could worship God, and it made the nation holy. After a long amount of time, the people kind of deserted God and divided up. But God sent prophets to call the people to repent and return to God, and to live in justice and righteousness. From time to time, a few of the kings sought to rule justly and help the people live righteously. But for the most part, the nations refused to listen to their prophets.
How is that? So, Miss Ann, is that it of the story?
Well, you know, actually, it's not really the end of the story, but it's the end of what we've talked about in Sunday school. So these are the ways that we experience the church in the Bible and the stories we've already talked about. But you know what? There's so many more stories and other ways that we experience church in the Bible. What's another way you think we experience church in the Bible that we didn't talk about? What's some we think?
Maybe we could open up the Bible and hold it up against something, and then we could read it and pray to it, maybe?
Yeah, that's good. I like that idea. I really do. I think there's so many ways that you can read the Bible and different ways you can experience church. Also, another way to experience the church in the Bible is when we talk about Jesus. So there's a lot of stories about Jesus with the church in the Bible too. Yeah, so there are more to come, and we're going to keep talking about the rest of these stories. But right now, next week, we are going to start talking about things before we get to Christmas. So we're going to start preparing for Advent and for Christmas and for those fun stories.
And one fact is that on Christmas, it's God's birthday.
That's right, Christmas is God's birthday. So we're going to start talking about that and getting prepared for all those things.
Miss Ann, so what for next week, what are we going to learn?
So that's a good question. So next week we're actually talking about the day that we do after Halloween, which is called All Saints Day. And All Saints Day is where we remember everyone who's died in this last year. So we're going to kind of talk about why that's important and why we do it. So that's what we're doing next week.
And on Halloween, in Mexico, it's called the Day of the Dead.
That's right. It is called the Day of the Dead. Good job. So, Kate, I wanted to ask you really quick. So there was a question that somebody asked me, and that question was, where did the church come from, and what really is the church? And I have a really cool answer that I wanted to share with you. And I think that just as Abraham and Sarah learned that God was every place in all times, we discover that God's church is wherever and whenever people gather and love and serve God and their neighbors. What do you think about that? Do you think the church is wherever we are when we want to serve other people?
Yeah.
I think so too. So
I was also going to ask about children's church. How can God go from one place to another place?
That is a great question. So as Christians, we believe and we know that God lives everywhere. So God is this really, really big word. It's called omnipresent, which is a really big word, right? But that means that God is everywhere. So we believe that God is in all the spaces of all over. And when we gather in places to show love and service, we start to feel God in those places. So God's everywhere. We just have to be in that place to maybe feel God or to notice God. Because sometimes if you don't pay attention to something, you don't know it's there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, Kate? If we are at home, we're doing church at home right now, how can we still be the church when we can't actually go to church? So how can we show other people the church and what we believe to be the church, which is loving other people and showing kindness to our neighbor? How can we still do that right now?
Well, we can still be kind to people, but they just won't be where you want them to be. Like, you won't get to go down to play set, like, you know, you had snack time and stuff. So
yeah, you don't get to do like you're used to with your friends.
But you can still make it work.
Yeah.
Like if you sat around the TV or something, and then you went down to children's time, and then your parents could still listen, and then after like 20 minutes, they could still pick you up.
Yeah, you could just kind of pretend like it's church, but in your house, right?
Yeah.
So you could sit up front at the TV for children's time. That's fun. I like that. And you can also still be kind to other people.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're wearing a mask, you can wave, right?
Well, yeah, like last week, I ran into my friend Trey at the pet store.
Okay.
And I waved, but it's also sad to see your friends wearing masks around this time.
It is.
Because you're really used to seeing your friends' faces and smiling and going out in recess.
Yeah.
But now you have virtual. But in like January, I think you'll go back, or you'll
maybe.
stay home.
Yeah. I think it's good you still get a chance to see your friends, even if it's not the way you want to.
Even if it's on a Zoom, you can still see their faces without masks.
That's right. Well, Kate, thank you so much for letting me come to your house today and helping me teach Sunday school. And friends, if you want me to come to your house and sit with you like Kate and I are right now and help teach Sunday school, have your adults send me an email.
Yeah, your parents, your grandparents, or your cousin.
Whoever that is.
And have a good week.
Yep, have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Good morning, everybody. Today we're talking about ways to love our neighbors. Now, you might know this already, but your neighbors can be a lot of different people. They can be the people who are living right next door to you, and your neighbors can be people who live much farther than that. God wants all of us to live together and consider each other neighbors. Those are the people He wants us to be kind to, and He wants us to be kind to everybody. Now, one of the easiest ways to let somebody know that you like them, you love them, you care about them is to use words. And an easy way to do that is with a card. So I brought a few cards today and want to show you a few different ways that you could let somebody know that you care about them. First one is a very simple thank you card. You say this sometimes when somebody's given you a gift or done something special, done something nice for you, you might write, "Dear neighbor, thank you so much for loaning me that sugar the other day. I really appreciate it." Sometimes you might be a birthday or a special day. So you can use a card like this, just a very basic, "Happy birthday, you're really special. We like this." Sometimes, if you're able to go to the store, you can get a birthday card that's kind of crazy. This is another birthday card. It says just a pug card wouldn't be right.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
Obviously, that's a very special card. I wanted to share a couple notes that I've gotten that are some of my favorites. One of them is this one. I like the picture on the outside. And in the inside, there's nothing there except the handwriting. My brother wrote me a note and said, "Thanks for arranging that for me. I really appreciate it. Love you." It was a very simple note, but I kept it. I love it. A little card for my brother. And one of my very favorites is not even a singing dog card or a crazy card or one that has a beautiful picture. It's this. It's just a little Post-it note. And one of my kids wrote, "I love Mom," to Mom, and they wrote the date. It was November 18th, Monday, November 18th, 2019 at 5:35 p.m. It is so simple. It's just a Post-it note. He wrote with what he had, and this little note made me feel so loved. So this week, I want you to find a way to let somebody know that you care about them with your words. Now, you may find a fancy opera singing pug card that does it. You may write them a note on a blank card. You might even just use a Post-it note. You could send your card 1,000 miles away. You could send it across the United States. You could send it across Asheville, or you could leave it somewhere in your house for somebody in your own house. Whatever way you choose, I hope you show a neighbor that you love them this week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.